we might want to just go ahead and kind of get started because people are here and
Great. Okay. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to KidsQuest Children's Museum's first virtual caregiver workshop. My name is Julie, and I am the Visitor Services Manager at KidsQuest. During this unique time, we have been working very hard behind the scenes to stay connected to the community and to continue to provide resources for families. That being said, please allow me to introduce Cubba Reese and Kristen Naisman, instructors of the Bellevue College Parent Education Program. They are joining us tonight to speak with you about positive discipline when times get tough. And before I let them take it away, I just wanted to remind everyone that this workshop is being recorded. Your cameras and microphones were automatically turned off when you joined the meeting. You may turn on your camera at your discretion and your microphone when we come to the Q&A portion. If you would rather leave them both off, please feel free to ask questions in the chat. Now, Cubba and Kristen, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie, and thank you to KidsQuest for inviting us. It's a wonderful program, and you guys are doing amazing stuff out there. My name is Cubba Reese. I've been with the Bellevue College Parent Ed Program about 20 years. My husband and I raised 3 children in this area, and happy to say they're still living in the area and working here with some 4 A's away. Hi. And we get to have family dinners with our grown children who all have jobs and insurance. Yay. Kristen.
And I'm Kristen Naisman, and I'm also with the Bellevue College Parent Education Program. I teach 2 courses there. One is the Positive Discipline, and the other is the Creative Arts Lab class for children and their parents, 3 to 5-year-olds. And I also work individually with parents and have been, my background is in teaching. I was a primary school teacher for many years, and I've raised 3 kids. I still have one here. I'm still in the trenches. I have a teenager still at home. So I would say that's probably my best learning, where I've learned the most is just really from making mistakes, I would say, probably. So I'm happy to be here tonight. And Cubba, I think you wanted to share a little bit about what we're going to be doing tonight.
Yeah, as you might have seen from the little blurb that KidsQuest shared, we have 3 goals: to help you develop a culture of respect in the family, to give you some tools for staying calm during stressful moments, and to teach your child to listen and solve problems. And our plan is for you to leave here with some very specific things that you can implement tonight during bedtime, although they're 1 to 5, they're probably in bed already, or starting tomorrow morning.
So we're wondering out there, what kind of challenges are you faced with in your life with your children? So if you could put in chat, just put out there a few things that are challenging for you right now. And I know this time is especially challenging with COVID. There's some new challenges that we've never faced before. So just kind of for everybody to kind of see what other people are experiencing, it's really helpful to see you're not the only one. So if you could please write in chat, what are some things that just kind of push your buttons with your kids, bug you, annoy you, that you wish would go away.
And just feel free to continue to share on the chat room as Kristen and I are talking. So
actually, since it's a small group, why don't you feel welcome to unmute yourself and just shout it out. Great.
Absolutely.
One, figuring out things to do indoors that are safe. This can be very challenging and exhausting. Yes, exhausting. It's all exhausting.
Kim, do you mean because the little ones are exploring in ways that are unsafe? Or do you mean thinking of creative things to do?
Yeah, sorry, I had to figure out how to unmute because I'm on my app. No, I mean more like we've been doing this for 7 months now, 8 months or so. I have a 17-month-old and an almost 4-year-old. And prior to all of this, we were able to do a lot of really fun things outdoors. And we had a pretty packed schedule. Like my older one was doing swimming and horseback riding and soccer and music class and preschool. And now all of those have been shut down. And so I don't really like, I mean, we can only do park scavenger hunts so many times before I want to pull my hair out.
Right, right. I'm sure some of the other folks are experiencing the same thing. It's hard to figure out what to do, and without just screen time being the go-to all the time. And what else out there? Looks like we have. Do you?
Hello.
Patty?
Hello. Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry, I'm having issues here with my iPad. Hi, good evening. I think for me, it's to actually get my fourth grader to go through with completing all the work that he has to do online, because he's doing online learning, and so a lot of screen time, and then the homework is more screen time. And I think that it gets to them, you know, where they're just sitting there and they just don't want to do anymore. By the time homework time comes, then they're done. They don't want to, you know, keep doing another 2-3 hours of work. So it becomes frustrating to me to find a way to not just the way I respond to that challenge. You know, I'm just trying to figure out how to do it in a nice way and maybe encourage, I don't know, in a different way. I don't know if there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
So I'm
thank you.
hearing even, you know, just staying calm in the face of the frustration, the daily frustration
Correct.
with the schoolwork, right?
Correct.
Thank you for, you know, we love to see faces. We're not Zoom creatures by habit. We love to see real people in our classes. We always have real people. So please feel welcome and invited to you know, show your screen. We'd love to see real people. Anything else? Just toss it out there. One word is fine. Just in the chat or bark it out.
Hi.
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 Hi. Hi. For my case, I can totally relate with the other lady who just spoke, but I have two kids, and one is 5 years old. He just entered kindergarten,
Mhm.
and so he's having a very big transition from being a preschool where it was more play-based, and now in kindergarten he has homeworks and, you know, 6 hours of like this remote learning and all these things that work that he has to do. And he is also special needs kid, so he has a bit of a cognitive delay. So, you know, when doing the homework, I need to actually sit down with him and really guide him through each question, every assignment, and all of that. So I can't really, you know, just tell him, okay, this is what you have to do in this homework, and leave it to him to figure out. There's a lot of explanation and repeating, and then I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she's at home too after a morning school. So it gets really stressful to handle both of them, to keep my daughter away from, you know, us, but then also keeping her not too bored. And, you know, it's chaotic. It can get really chaotic.
A
Yeah.
lot to juggle.
I'm
Yeah.
really hearing a lot from everybody that's spoken that there's just a lot of overwhelm and there's a lot of trying to get kids to do things. And I'm wondering what kind of behaviors or, you know, issues come up because of that. So in terms of discipline, I hear the frustration on the parent side. And then also, what does this show up like? Is it like not listening or back talk, or what are those kinds of issues as well? Anybody have those kind of things?
Yes, thank you. For mine, I think it's a combination of a little bit of everything, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I've kind of dealt with it is they obviously like to play video games and stuff like that. So I deduct, you know, the amount of time that I give him to do such activity. I have to kind of be like, okay, well, you know, we're going to take 20 minutes away from that playtime with your buddies online if you're not finishing your work, or if you're just like, you know, just procrastinating, you don't want to do it. And
so
I just want to make sure,
around screen time and the pushback and all that is really, I imagine there's a lot of heads nodding right now. A lot of black screens, but I imagine. Kava, do you want to move on and talk a little bit about development.
Yeah. So development, this talk is mainly planned for children of 0 to 5. However, I think a lot of what Kristen and I are going to say is going to be, there are tools that are going to be applicable for 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds. And in fact, what I was hearing in the couple of parents that were so kind to share, and I see another one, 5 and back talk, good, and straight up refusal, good. So the two areas seem to be getting them started. How do I get them started with a behavior, or how do I skillfully set limits on a behavior? Okay. Right now, in the early years, the brain is developing at a really rapid pace. And the good news is that the brain grows in 3 ways. It grows from healthy nutrition, it grows from good sleep, it grows from strong attachment to parents and an environment of novelty and repetition. And here's the good news. The brain also grows from repetition. So I'm going to give you the example. Here's a really simple example. I keep my hands to myself. And 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and even some 4 and 5-year-olds are working on the rule of solving problems using their words. So parents repeat and repeat and repeat, right? Like you might say something like, you look really frustrated, or I see you're having a hard time, or I will not let you hit me. And you set a limit, and you encourage, and you redirect. And at a certain point, that little brain neuron that is saying, I keep my hands to myself, which isn't in an immature brain, it isn't very well connected to the motor brain and the word brain and the emotion brain. But the brain is growing, it's getting more and more connectivity, and suddenly that little rule of I keep my hands to myself with parents' repetition, repetition of experience, repetition of those moments, they get it. We think as parents, we have to travel up the chain of intensity. I'm going to make you increasingly miserable until you get this. We don't. We're going to tell you, as we explore this, some ideas for how to encourage, how to invite them into, what I want to say, like productive, pro-social, we say in early childhood behaviors. However, you do not need to increase the intensity, and don't worry about the fact that, oh my goodness, I've said this 100 times. This is how they learn. Toddlers learn this way, preschoolers learn this way, and children cannot be said, this is the last thing I'll say about development, children cannot be said to hold a rule. This is what we think of as in part working memory. The rule is don't hit. However, I just had a really tough day, and this person came right up in my face and they grabbed something right out of my hand and I'm really mad. Or let me take one of your examples. I know that the rule is the teacher wants me to finish all my homework. And I'm really tired. And I've been in this new Zoom thing, new meaning, a year is pretty new to them. And I'm thinking about wanting to move my body rather than move my brain cells right now. And yet the rule is this: children cannot be said to hold the rule, think about their behavior, and plan their behavior according to that rule until it's their beginning to be able to do it at 8 years old. Okay? So those of you with children under that age, just remember, we have to be the holders of that rule. And even beginning at 7 and 8, we're going to remind them of the rule and invite them to practice the rule and maybe post the rule visually and do things that help their brain remind themselves of the rule. And let me just glance to make sure I've said what I need to say. Yeah, so we're going to explore some discipline tools on that. All right.
Would you talk a little bit? I, I think we have a few parents with younger kids. Would you talk about autonomy?
Yeah, I didn't really hear anybody with the under 3-year-old crowd, or was there one person with the 1-year-old? Okay.
We didn't hear
So-
from a lot of people, so I think we probably
Yeah.
do.
So let me just say this about the 1 to 3-year-old. The 1 to 3 phase, and this is looking at the Erickson developmental model. Good, 2 and a 4-year-old, thank you. 10-year-old and kindergartner, good, thank you. They are mainly working on what Erickson called shame and doubt versus autonomy. So that means their little brains are saying autonomy. What does that mean to a 1 to 3-year-old? I gotta go. I gotta explore. It's a back of the brain, going really fast, heading out and explore my environment. They're also working, when we say shame versus doubt, on when I explore, which means sometimes I'm going to be exploring in a way that my father or my mother or my other caregivers are going, that's not safe. No throwing blocks in the house. And I'm going to be confused about that. Should I doubt my need for autonomy? Am I not okay when I'm looking for autonomy? And what we want to hold for children is you are okay when you are exploring, and my job is to A, keep you safe, B, set loving limits. That doesn't mean you get to throw blocks in the house. I'm going to say, oh, no throwing blocks in the house. Here's something you can throw. Or we're going to go outside so you can throw. Or I'm going to help you find something else to do right now. And then the way they develop a confident self about I'm an okay person is the way in which we help them resolve this conflict that they have between autonomy, doubt, and shame. My message to you is you're okay when you are practicing your little autonomy. Any questions about that? Or for the older ones? All right, let's keep going. And truly, I think, yeah, go ahead. Kristen, you go ahead.
I want to share a little bit about what happens in our brains when things happen that kind of trigger us. And this is really useful to understand what happens both for parents and also what's happening in a child's brain when they sort of lose it. And right now, I'm hearing from a lot of parents who are, feeling pretty frustrated at home, and everybody's level of tolerance level is, pretty much maxed out. And so it's helpful to understand what happens in our brain when we feel frustrated, what happens in our brain with our children when they might have a tantrum. Because if we can recognize the signs of this, we can actually do something to change our behavior. And for most people, and especially if you're here tonight and you've taken the time out of your busy schedule, you're probably already a really skilled parent. You really care about your kids. I can imagine that. And sometimes as parents, and we all do this, we all, have moments where we don't have the finest parenting moments, and we wish we didn't say or do things with our kids that we do. And I've had it happen to me before too. So this can be very helpful to understand what happens. So I'm going to do a little brain model. It's called Brain in the Palm of Your Hand. And if you do it with me, it's actually really helpful to learn it, to kind of integrate it. So if you hold up your hand, and you notice this comes from Dr. Dan Siegel. He's a neuropersonal biologist, I think, at UCLA. And he talks about this, that this is your brain stem coming up. And this is where the part of your brain where your freeze, fight, or flight is. And if you open up your hand then and fold your thumb in, this is your midbrain, and the part of your brain that holds all of your emotions and your memories from the past and your big feelings. And if you fold your fingers over like this, the part here, and this is kind of what's happening. This is if this would be the front of your head, right here behind your forehead. This is your cortex. That's your thinking brain. So all your thinking, your logical thinking skills would be here. And this little part right here where your fingernails are is called the prefrontal cortex. And it's important to know about this part because it's touching all of the other parts. So it helps to integrate your brain, and it regulates the entire brain. And the prefrontal cortex is important. Where all your executive functioning skills lie. It's where you have your intuition, your relationship skills, your self-awareness, and all of those things that are so important. And also, the most important thing is your ability to regulate your own self, your own emotions. So what happens if you come and you're like this in your brain, and maybe you've had this day where things didn't go very well. Maybe you've been with your kids all day long. They don't want to do their homework. They're fighting with their siblings. You haven't had enough sleep and you're tired and exhausted. And what happens when brother pushes sister? You flip your lid because they've pushed a button and now you've just lost it, essentially. And what's showing now? Your midbrain, the part that has all of your big feelings and all the big emotions. But we've lost this ability to kind of regulate our emotions. We've lost this ability to have the self-awareness, to think about what we're doing, to kind of plan. And so right now, what does this sound like when we're when we're in this place? You know, what kind of a voice do we usually have here? Probably not a very nice one. What do we say to our kids? Probably something that we wish we didn't say, or maybe our partners, and we wish we didn't say it to them. And so this is where this thing comes later on. We say, wow, I can't even believe I said that, or I don't remember saying that. So in this place, this is not where we want to be parenting from, obviously. And so the important thing to remember is that our kids, when we're like this, because of they can sense our energy and mirror neurons. If they're like this, it actually can kind of invite them to do the same thing. Or if our kids come in and they're tantruming and having all kinds of problems, it can kind of escalate us and we can kind of go from here to here. So the important thing to know is that we actually co-regulate off other people. So if your child is having a tantrum and they're having a bad day and they're melting down, the most important thing as a parent for you is to recognize that you need to get back here and be very calm so that they can regulate off of you. And if they're having a tantrum, for you to remain just really steady and stable like this, okay? When we get like this, we need to get ourselves back into our body, get ourselves back this way. And the most things you can do are you can count backwards, something to get your mind activated. You can take time out for yourself. That's why I love my bathroom for that, like to go in there and just get away. Even doing jumping jacks or rubbing your hands on your legs to get yourself back into your body. Look outside, go outside, get yourself grounded a little bit. Water is a great tool to kind of regather yourself, just washing your hands, taking a shower, washing your face, something like that. The other tool that I like to use, I call it the 3 Bs. So if I'm feeling really like I see, I'm feeling that feeling like maybe my shoulders are tight, my jaws are tight. I don't know, Kava, what do you do when you feel escalated? Where do you feel it in your body?
My shoulders are like around my ears.
Yeah. I feel it in my chest too. Sometimes it's just like welling out of me. And I have the feeling that I just want to say things. I want to talk, like my brain is going really fast and I can't slow it down. And I feel urgent, like I have to do something about like a problem right then. Do you ever have that feeling when you're flooded? It's like happening fast.
Absolutely.
And we often feel like we need to rush in and like stop things right there with our kids, or stop their tantrum, or just get it over with. Like we need to discipline them, right? We feel like we have to do it. And that's actually the moment where we don't have our thinking skills. We don't have our ability to have empathy for our child, to understand what might be going on for them, or to, feel like we can calm ourselves down and use the tools that we actually know we have. And so I have a tool that I like to use, and it's called the 3 Bs, and it's for bow out, and when I say bow out, literally take a step backwards. If you're in a situation, literally remove yourself a step back. So you bow out. Then the second B is to breathe, and that's where you kind of give yourself that time, maybe some deep breathing. If you do yoga breathing or any of that, that's so helpful. And it could be where you just take a little time, you count backwards, do any of the tools that I would just mention about maybe going outside, water, those things. And the third one is balcony. So once you get yourself a little bit calmed down, imagine that you're watching the situation. Maybe it's the siblings fighting. You're watching it from a balcony as if you're an observer and you're observing a situation happening. You're not part of the situation. You're actually being able to observe it. And when you see it kind of from a distance like that, it looks different than it does when you are like in it with them. when you're attached to this problem. So I recommend that just getting away from it, to allow yourself the time and the space to regather yourself and to get back into this prefrontal cortex part of your brain. So Kaba, would you like to add anything else to that?
Yeah, I loved what you said, Kristen. And just remember, this is a practice. And neuroplasticity is your friend. The more often you do it, the better you're going to get at it. The other thing I would say is sometimes I know that we experience as parents the reality that, where am I going to go? Like the parent that was saying, I have a special needs child. He needs me to be here right with him. What Kristen is saying can be done in a moment without you going anywhere. You can breathe. And I think we saw this demonstrated once, Kristen, where someone just went, as I'm breathing, I'm going to go take my finger and go. And really feel it. Like I'm feeling that index finger go up and down and trace my hand. And that will, without you doing anything except that gets you back in your body.
Yeah.
That creates, and it doesn't have to be 100% calm. It's just you're a little bit more connected with you. And that's where you need to be. You got to be with you before you can help them. Don't just do something, stand there.
And you know, this is another reason why parent self-care is so important. I can't stress this enough. You know, it's that whole idea of putting your own oxygen mask on first, because honestly, we really can't be our best parenting self when we're not feeling good. And when we are, you know, when we have not taken care of ourselves, we're so much more likely to go here, right? If we're not sleeping well, if we're stressed out, if we haven't had fun and joy, or even just, you know, having a passion that you enjoy doing. So many, you know, moms, and I don't see it as often with dads, but they feel like guilty by taking some time for themselves, that they're taking away from their family. And I actually think you're actually doing your family a favor by really taking care of yourself and giving yourself that place to be the best parent that you can be. It really is about your mind state, I think. And you know, another thing too is, the insurance companies have known this for a long time, right? The insurance goes down at 25. That's because our prefrontal cortex does not stop developing until we're about 25. And so when we see children and they're having trouble managing their emotions, young children especially, they have not developed this part of their brain. This is the part, remember, that self-regulates, that allows them to control their emotions. So this part of the brain is just still developing. And even as adults, we're still having trouble with that, right? So we don't always remain calm when we want to.
No. So let's take a look at, because remember we said in the beginning, you're going to leave here with some specific ideas. Kristen just gave us a couple.
And maybe there's some questions too before we move on to the next topic.
And feel free to type in at any moment.
Yeah, type in or just jump in, because it's a small group.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have Q&A time at the end too, so that will be.
So we're going to do a scenario that I personally experienced many years ago. And first I'm going to tell you the scenario, the way in which I handled it. We'll critique that a little bit. And then we'll take a look at some ways that might have been more encouraging, would have taught my son some problem-solving skills, some cooperating skills, and it wouldn't have been quite so exhausting for me. Okay. So he was about 2, and we were at a playground, and we were in the sandbox, and he was having a lot of fun throwing sand. Well, it was also a windy day, and the sand was getting in my eyes. So this was Kaba. Rafi, honey, mommy doesn't like it when you throw sand. Rafi, sweetie, honey, please stop throwing sand, Rafi, mommy doesn't like it when you throw, Rafi. I had a son with a friend with us, and he goes, Kaba. It was just not effective. Rafi was having so much fun throwing sand. He was quite intrigued by his mother's gesticulations and intensity. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I think, honestly, in some ways, he might have even been getting a little more anxious. And then they start, and you guys are probably saying this, they get almost locked in what they're doing. Now I'm just throwing sand, and neither of us got anywhere. So does anybody have any reflections on that, like, what did my discipline choices convey to Rafi?
So you mean kind of what messages were you giving off?
Messages was I giving? Remember the shame and doubt versus autonomy. Was I saying, your autonomy is so healthy? Not really. Was I saying, I understand your need to explore right now? Not really. Also, was I saying, I'm going to take care, like Kristen's saying, I'm going to take care of myself right now in a way that is mindful and staying connected without flipping my lid? Not at all. I was flipping my lid. Stop it, stop it, stop it. A very popular parenting tool. So none of those things were being conveyed to Rafi. And so what might he have been thinking about himself? Little 2-year-old who we know, they don't always stop themselves very well, just because we ask them to. Because they don't have the brain development yet to do it without our help. Part of what he might have been saying is, maybe there's something wrong with me. Either, whoa, there's something wrong with mom. What's going on there? Or what's wrong with me? She's mad at me. And all children, talk to friends, or if you yourself, even in high school, perhaps had a parent who was divorced. Very often kids will say, it was my fault. Logically, they know that's not true, but they blame themselves.
Cub, I think one thing that's, whatever age, this is with young children, but it expands all the way for all children and all adults even. The whole idea of what you're asking is, what is my child thinking? What are they feeling and what are they deciding about themselves and even about you, right? All children are always making those decisions.
Yeah. So let's take a look at some different choices that I might have made. And in positive discipline, we call this kindness and firmness at the same time. Another word for it is the authoritative parent. So it doesn't mean nicey-nicey. Basically what it means is I'm staying connected to you. And it doesn't mean harshness, it means firmness. I'm kind and firm at the same time. And should I go ahead with this, Kristen? Am I on track? Okay, good. So imagine that I could have done a couple of things in that moment, right? One of them might have been, Rafi, you're showing me that you're having trouble stopping your body. I'm going to help you. And I can reach over and gently, kindly and firmly pick Rafi up and move him out of the sandbox. Now, what is the response of Rafi sometimes? Does he go, thank you, mother, for helping me move out of the sandbox? No, he very likely might have a complete meltdown. Flip lid state. I've made a commitment to be kind and firm, right? So I'm going to help you move. You're showing me you need help. I'm going to move you. And he goes, wah. And I'm saying to myself, he's showing me he needs help. So I'm going to be much less vulnerable to this state. I can fuel it by saying, oh God, everyone's looking at me. Oh no, everyone in the playground is wondering what's wrong with my child. And then I need to encourage myself. I am being a parent with integrity here. I am being a parent that is acting in my child's best interest as best I can. And you know what? You guys can say that to yourself all the time because you are. You're always doing the best you know how. And then eventually tantrums come to pass, and really working with temper tantrums, we could just do a whole topic on that one, couldn't we, Kristen? But at a certain point, either we might say, I think we might be done with the playground today, honey. I'm going to help you go to the car. Or we might notice it's coming to an end. I offer a hug, and then I say, Rafi, let's go play in the swings. Now, sometimes people say, like, well, aren't I just giving in? No, the lesson was no throwing sand. I don't have to add on. Jane Nelson calls it piggybacking. And now see what you did. Now you can't have this. No, the lesson was don't throw sand. I've moved you. Throwing sand isn't happening. The best way to let that lesson really sink in is to not pile on shame, but go, we're connected. Let's move and do something else.
Kava, you said something really important there too, and I think it's about, it's that positive discipline tool of acting and not talking.
Yes.
And so your behavior, sometimes we just do the thing that needs to be done. It's the problem is we do, and then we also add on, and then it doesn't become just a natural consequence. It becomes then kind of a punishment. And then children actually are thinking not about what they learned, they're thinking about getting back at you when they feel, angry. So I think what you said
Either
about
they go into shame and doubt or they think of revenge. My mother's so mean. Any questions about that? And then we have another exercise we can do with you. And by the way, folks, I started doing positive discipline work when my children were in elementary school. And I can assure you, and we're going to do some of the next exercises can be for children of all ages, but you can take this same idea of saying to a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, you're showing me you're having a hard time with fill in the blank, and I'm going to help you. And sometimes that help is really, how can I help you? You're having a hard time completing that assignment. How can I help you? You're having a hard time focusing. How can I help you? Maybe that child needs a break. Maybe that child needs a drink of water. What else, Kristen? Sometimes just our empathy, because when they're stressed, 5 and 10-year-olds, when they're stressed about school, they're here. What helps a child use that front part of their brain, which they need to complete homework assignments? Getting back to here. How do I help them return to this state? Sweetie, I'm going to hold your hand and let's just take a couple breaths together. I'm here for you.
I think too, in the next activity, the way the statements that we're going to be using could also be turned and used for parents who have struggling schoolwork at home too. So we can talk about that a little bit too. Should we do that activity, or do you have anything else you wanted to add to that before we move on, Kava?
I think so. Do you have anything?
I think, all right. Shall we do the statement? Okay. So this activity, I'm going to pretend that I'm the child, and I'm going to say a sentence that, any child might say, and Cub is going to be my parent, and she's going to respond with, well, why don't you tell them, Cubba, how you will respond?
I'm going to respond in a way that lets the child feel seen and feel felt. I get what they're saying. I hear their message. Go ahead.
As you listen to this, imagine that you are a child hearing the statements that your mother, Kava, has said, and notice what you might be thinking, what you might be feeling, and what you might be deciding as you're hearing the responses to the statements. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, we can talk a little bit about what might have made them effective.
Yeah. You can even notice, see if it has any effect on your body, to go from the feeling that Kristen is going to convey. And did it land, once you heard the statement, did it land in your body in a slightly different way? Okay.
So all of my sentences that I'm going to read they're all random. So it's just each one is kind of an independent comment, what a child would say, and then what a parent might say back. And then I'll read a whole different kind of statement, the second one, and there's about 10 of them. All right. No car seat.
You sound mad.
I hate masks.
I really get that, honey.
She took it from me.
You didn't like it. You want it back.
I don't want to wash my hands.
You sound annoyed.
I hate my sister.
You sound really mad because you want that toy.
I don't want to go to the doctor.
I wonder if you're feeling scared.
She doesn't want to be my friend.
You sound really sad because she said that. You hope you're going to be friends again.
I painted this whole picture.
You sound very proud of yourself.
Okay. So, children out there, any thoughts or feelings that came up, and just just speak out. It's awful quiet. So anybody notice the way that Kaba responded to me? There was something that she did. So a typical, let's go maybe back with another response. Kaba, maybe let's do it where you respond with an ineffective response.
What?
Would you like me to read the sentences again and you respond maybe with a typical parent response?
Sure.
That the people
Thanks,
can,
Kim.
oh, we've got one. I liked how you validated the feelings of a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I just say, folks, I know it can sound like, well, sort of a so what, like so you validated. What I want them to do is do their homework. What I want them to do is pick up their blocks. But when we feel better, we think better. And when we think better, we do better. That's a quote from Jane Nelson. Remember what Kristen said. When I'm in this state, or even a little bit in this state, I'm not thinking very well. And if I'm not thinking very well, I'm not going to perform very well. As parents, we have a little bit of a tendency to start explaining, you know, honey, the reason you're doing homework is it's really important and you're going to get graded and the teacher wants it in, that. We're talking to this part of the brain that's not even connected right now. They can't even take it in. We got to speak to this first.
Let me read a few, Kaba, and you respond back in those ways. I think if they hear it, it'll resonate.
Thank you, because
Okay.
that's what I'm doing.
All right. No car seat.
The same thing. Sorry, Kristen. Just
Typical parent response now.
typical parent. Sorry.
No
Honey,
car.
you have to go in the car seat. It's really important. You know, you could get a big owie if you don't sit in your car seat. Let's get in it right now.
I hate masks.
It's really important right now to wear masks. You don't want to get sick, do you? You can get very sick.
She took it from me.
You have to take turns. Part of being a good hostess is letting your friends have turns with your toys. You wouldn't like it if someone took it from you, would you?
I don't want to wash my hands.
You come and wash your hands right now. Take my hand. Come on, we're going right now.
I hate my sister.
You don't hate your sister. You love her. These are so easy because I did them. And it made such a difference when I stopped. Sorry, Kristen, go ahead.
No, and I think that we've done some to get the idea. What do you notice between the difference between the two different kinds of responses? As a child, which one are you more invited to cooperate with? Does anybody have any? Oh, thank you, Kim.
Yeah, no, sorry. Hi, I'm sorry it's bedtime here for two little ones too, so it's kind of chaotic. But I definitely feel like the first one was much more, like I'm the one that said that you're validating their feelings and you're acknowledging how they feel. And the second one is much more geared towards kind of shutting them down and making them feel like, they're losing their autonomy, obviously, like you just talked about, because they're not having a choice. And it used a lot of concepts that I feel like, at least for my kids, like when I try and use them, I end up frustrated because I realize like they can't comprehend and understand,
Exactly.
you know, like using a mask because you don't want to get sick. Like they can't, their brains are obviously not developed to the point where they can understand the ramifications of that action. So all it ends up doing is kind of creating this unnecessary fear where they stick to the words they do know, and without context, it tends to make things worse. That's what I've experienced.
Yeah. Who's seen high school students with their arms around each other? They know, supposedly, about how disease is transmitted, but that need to be connected, to have friends, overrides logic. So we've got to stay connected to our kids and let them know, I'm connected with you, I care about you, and I'm going to set a limit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when you have a problem and you go to your best friend or your partner and they, can calm you down because they get you. Like that, but when they try to fix the problem or make it go away, right? It kind of takes your autonomy away. We still have our problem. We want to figure it out ourselves. So that being able to have somebody else kind of see us is really important. And I would like to say that Kava only responded with the first part. So with positive discipline, as Kava mentioned, there's the firm and kind part. So we were being kind there, and there might still be the firm part. So it might be, it's not no math. Oh, well, I'm sorry you don't like it. It's not that. It's validating it first. Like, yeah, that you really don't want to put that mask on. And that's the magic word, and not but.
And
it's the rule.
Yeah. And we do 30 hours of childcare with my granddaughter, who's 2 and a bit. And parents often miss opportunities, especially with the under 7 set, to be playful, to be silly, sing a song. With the little ones, get an imaginary friend to come. The other day, I'd been using all of those, right? We sang songs for washing hands, and we had her little Tina doll wash hands. None of that was working that day. No wash hands, no wash hands. And I said, you're right, Junie. No wash hands. I don't like it either. And she kind of looked at me like, what? And I go, I'm only going to rinse my hands. No soap. Don't you put any soap on your hands. And she went, I'm putting soap on my hands. And now we're both laughing. I'm like, don't you do it. No soap. I'm washing my hands.
It's like magic.
Funny. It was so
You
funny.
said something else, Covet, in the responses that I think was helpful, and there was the word wish in there.
Yes.
Do you want to say what you did there?
Yeah. It's acknowledging a child's wish for something to be different. You wish you didn't have to wait and wear masks, honey. Me too. Ugh, masks. What a bummer. And I love you so much, I'm going to wear a mask. And I love grandma so much, I'm going to wear a mask. Show me how that, and then don't ask them if they're going to do it. Go, show me how that mask looks on you. Let's look in the mirror at us and our masks together. Peekaboo, I see you.
The other thing that Kava did was with my statement, she noticed underneath what I said. We often respond to the statement itself and how we feel about it, but she was responding to my feeling. So she was looking underneath what I was saying to the feeling. You're frustrated or determined, mad, and calling out that feeling. And that's also so important for children to, Dan Siegel says, that when we name our feelings, we can tame our feelings. Name it to tame it. And so understanding vocabulary for our feelings and understanding what feeling words are, and that they're all okay, that we can have a wide range of feelings, is all so important to be a healthy human being. So that's also, part of what you're doing by responding in those different ways.
Yeah. Who here has a difficult time holding conflicted feelings without acting on them? All of us. It's hard. And we want to help our children with those conflicted feelings, and the answer to how to help them is move toward them in times of conflict. That's what kind and firm means. It's I'm going to move toward you and offer connection as I help you struggle with this limit. And it will be a struggle. It is a friend of mine who's a parent educator used to say, it is a parent's job to set the limit. It is the child's job to fight the limit. They have to. That's what autonomy is about. And they'll do it again in the teen years. We don't give up and go, fine, raise yourself. But we also don't get rigid. We stay connected with them. And it's a practice. It truly is a practice. And you'll get better at it. You'll start before I did when my kids were in elementary school.
And I'm just noticing the time, and it's run out so quickly. And I know that people have some questions probably. Should we move to some question and answer?
Yeah.
All right. And so you don't have to turn your screen on if you don't want to, but if you want to just put your question in chat, or if you want to just, say it out loud, either works. We'd love to spend a few minutes answering your personal questions, because we know that there's a wide range of ages that, on here. And let's see.
Oh, very good.
Oh, gosh, Kim, I would love to tell you more about our classes. I'm going to put the website, I hope I have it here, as I was going to, and we do right now, we have all of our classes are online for fall and maybe winter, we don't know. And so you can go there. We have classes for 0 to 7-year-olds and their parent-child classes. And so the parents get education, like Kava and I both are parent instructors. We have children's teachers and parent instructors. And so it's a component of the program. When we're in person, the lovely thing about it is that you will come, and not depending on the age of your child, you might not come every single week with your child. You're always invited to come every week if you want, but there are times where, you can drop your child off. But there will be some structured parent education times. But it's also a lovely community of people. Like, you really get the support from other parents. I think that's one of the most amazing things about it. And you get to see other children your child's age and what they're doing developmentally and how parents are responding to them. And so I did it for 10 years with my kids, and now I'm an instructor in the program. I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah. Basically, a year. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I'm happy to stay on after and just talk to anybody that has questions about the program and help you to figure out what, it is kind of overwhelming for a lot of people when they go to the website, because we do have about 30 different classes. So knowing which one would work for you is, I can help you with that.
It's a year-long curriculum for the age of the child, whether it's a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, up to 7, plus a year-long curriculum on parent education for the parent with a child of that age. And there's enrichment classes in science and the arts, and there's preschool classes for the typical 3- and 4-year-old. Typical preschool. Yeah.
So
The child doesn't have to be typical. We take all kinds of kids. Anybody. We love it. It's a very diverse community.
what other questions do you have?
Yeah, and please feel free to say like, wow, I don't see how that would work at all. Or, what about in my situation, this would make sense for me, or this doesn't make sense, because that really, really helps the group when people say, this does not compute. Yes, it is. We're a larger program from Lake Washington, but we are all sister programs. We're over in the umbrella of the OPEP, which is Organization of Parent Education Programs, and there are about 16 states that have them, and they're typically, the money comes from the Department of Early Learning and then through various community colleges that participate, like Washington, Edmonds, South Seattle, North Seattle, Bellevue.
What else? We would love to, you're probably wondering, like, how am I going to get my child to bed tonight? Or how am I going to get them to dinner tonight? Or what do I do about the sassy pants? Something like that. So the homework. I was taught second grade for many years, so I'm happy to talk about homework or, oh, yeah. Oh, let's see. We're asking, I'm just writing something in chat.
Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, so while you do that, yes, we do, and usually this fall, I think Kristen will not be able to do the online positive discipline class. Is that right, Kristen? But we're hoping.
I'm going to teach a winter one on my own, though, so if people are interested in that, they should shoot me their email and let me know so I can send you the information about that.
Good. And the winter positive discipline classes are usually for like up until 12 years old. And that's a six or 7 week online class that's just for parents. Eventually, we'll all meet in person again. Hi, Julie.
Yeah. So, oops, I made a mistake. I made a mistake on my email address that I put there. Sorry. It doesn't-
Kristen.Nasman
is
at.
it right?
Okay, it looks right to me.
Did I put yours right?
Mhm.
Okay.
We know each other so well, we know each other's email addresses.
I can also share these with patrons when we follow up after this for anyone who participated.
Thanks, Julie.
No problem.
Well, we just want to really thank you all for coming. And I know it's a rough time of the night. So I know a few people have chatted that they need to go put kids to bed or whatever. And we just want to thank you all for coming and being with us tonight and allowing us to share with you. So
Agreed.
And from KidsQuest, we would also like to thank you for joining us. Please look out for future virtual caregiver workshops. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Kaba. We so appreciate your time. And if anyone has additional questions, I will share Kaba and Kristen's email in a follow-up thank you message. But please feel free to reach out to me and I can put you in touch with them as well.
All right.
great.
Thank you. And thank you, Julie, for having us. KidQuest is a wonderful resource in this community. And thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing. Look, check them out on the YouTube channel.
Yes, that sounds great. I've learned a few new resources myself tonight. So thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, I hope everyone has a good evening.
You too.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.